Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a game between Roxas's Jagon and GS Dana, or Dana, here on Whirlwind, Game 1 in a series. Um, wow, this past week has been really difficult for me. Sorry for the delay in cast, especially with the ramp up to Heart of the Swarm coming out next week. So, um, if you enjoy Wings of Liberty cast, you'll just have to thumb through my 2,000 some odd StarCraft 2 videos, as those will be coming to an end. Now, we have Jagon spawning as the Terran player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Dana or Donna spawning as the pink Zerg on the bottom right. I don't want to say his name wrong anymore, so I'll just try and refer to them as Terran versus Zerg. But then again, if you guys have been watching my cast for quite some time, you know I have a problem doing that at times. Now, this is not Heart of the Swarm. This is in fact Wings of Liberty, even though the interface has been updated. So if you guys have not logged into Battle.net as of late or watched a replay, go ahead and try that now after you watch this series, of course, and you'll see that there has been some significant changes. Taking a look at what the Terran player is doing, he may actually be going for, yes, he is going to be going for a command center first here on Whirlwind, which is not a bad idea. The map is rather large, which means that Zerg players will generally be going hatchery first as well. So a hatchery first versus a command center first, Zerg players generally have a better economic advantage anyways. He may try to take his third off over here or here as well. Both of them are viable options. Only time will tell which route he really wants to take, as both of them are about equal distance in terms of their opponent. You can see the command center is being placed on that front door, and we may be seeing an SCV now moving out to do a bit of scouting. No, finally adding that barracks. So it was, I believe, a 16 command center followed by a 17, or 16 command center followed by a 16 barracks there, and overlords are just moving still. Now, it's been quite some time since I've cast, so I'll have to refresh my brain and try to come up with a lot of theories as what we'll be seeing, as I think this is the first time I've cast a Wings of Liberty game in a while on Whirlwind Terran versus Zerg. There is a lot of bases, but they're all kind of stuck far off in the corners. If you take a look in the minimap, there is a lot of wide open space in the center, which means that Zerglings and other fast-moving Zerg units can generally flank pretty quickly. Now, Terran can either counter this by going fast with Terran Bio, or they can try to do a slow push method as well. We may also see some medevac play. Medevacs do move across the map fairly quickly because they can avoid all of that terrain, and by avoiding the terrain, they can just drop up inside your base. Do remember though that the medevacs do not have that speed boost. This is not, I repeat, not Wings of Liberty, or it's not Heart of the Swarm, meaning they will not be able to get across the map with that very, very powerful 8-second speed burst. SCV now trying to slip its way in will be able to do exactly that. Now head up that ramp and take a look around. It is going to be a 2-base Zerg versus a 2-base Terran. Zerg still has a slight overall supply advantage, 22 drones versus 18 SCVs, and I apologize for any lag that you guys may see. There is still no unit preloader in the new version of Battle.net just quite yet, and I cannot load all of the animations of all the units dying at all. So far, we see Terran setting up his third command center. He's going to be able to train up 3 SCVs at a time, also be able to call down that additional meal, which is always important to keep up with that Zerg production. You see a 6 worker advantage for Zerg at this point. Mules are still being called into play, so I believe Terran does have a small advantage there, as we are now teching the tier 2. Alright, this is still going to be rather slow. This is going to look as though we are going into a 2-base double or triple bunker on the front door, perhaps expecting a lot of units to try and make their way with a quick run by. Overlords do have a fairly good placement, will be able to catch units trying to come any which way outside. Only real true dead space is right here. I believe an Overlord could be positioned there momentarily, as Dana now just moving off here to the 12 o'clock position with this Overlord. Now, not much to really talk about in this Terran versus Zerg matchup. You can see the Terran player, it doesn't look like he's really creating that many production buildings with only 3 down right now. We should be seeing perhaps a starport come in, and we are also seeing a tech lab on this factory, meaning that we are going to be into a siege tank push. There is that starport, as I mentioned. So it is going to be siege tanks, marines, and marauders trying to do that push, as opposed to straight Terran bio. Hatchery is coming into play here. So far, Hellions, siege tanks, and Thors will be trained up. We are going into a Spire, and with no missile turrets down for the Terran player, he may actually run into a bit of a problem. Mutalisks are very, very fast. We'll be able to get in a lot of harassment as we see the 3rd base now finally being taken down, or being placed down by the Zerg player. Harvester count is still 48 to 37, even though we have that 3rd orbital command, but it is not training up SCVs right now. Spoke too soon, now training up SCVs once more. Terran really needs to train up a lot more units. We can see Stim now being researched, Siege Tech, and we are also going into a reactor on that starport. No surprise there, wanting to double train up Medivacs. Siege tank, siege tech, and this looks like it's going to be a bit of a cold war. Both players just arming their just stockpiling units up inside their base, wanting to see they have the right combination of units before moving out. And I don't believe we will see any aggression between these two players, at least for another minute and a half to 2. Both players cannot really destroy each other just quite yet, and even both players can't harass each other except for the Zerg. Zerg now going into 10 Mutalisks, and with no Thors, not that many Marines, and no combat shield, it is going to be very difficult for those Mutalisks, or for those Marines, to actually catch up to those Mutalisks. You already have 10 Mutalisks on the way, level 1 Zerg flyer attack coming in, as well as we see a round of 12 drones being trained, and this is the Zerg army at its best. So far, 18 SCVs, 15 here. We see a massive number of supply depots now being placed down. Apparently the Terran player was, or could have been supply blocked for a little while, was forced to call down a supply drop, and now training up 3 supply depots at a time. And all of this is just still rather slow goings, as we now finally see the Zerg looking to take some action. Alright, here we go. Mutalisks are in the base. You can see double engineering bays, no missile turrets as of yet. Production doesn't even show them anywhere on the map, as the Mutalisks are going to town, taking down some Marines. There goes one Mutalisk. Not a good trade at all, and Dana really needs to consider backing off there, but he notices that there is actually a rather low Marine count and decides to chase off even more units. Alright, more Marines now making their way in, and this is going to really start hurting, as the Terran player is forced to constantly chase and use Stim. Stim does cause 10 damage to each Marine, and as long as this Mutalisks continue to flock around, they should be able to just force the Marines to constantly Stim from one side of the map, one side of their base to another, in a desperate attempt at defending their base. You can see now, finally, an additional missile turret being built inside the main base. 2 missile turrets, in fact, as the Mutalisks are going to be trying to come in from the far side. The far side does have missile turrets as well. Missile turrets do not have that auto-sec tracking or any of those additional upgrades. So it will just be your standard run-of-the-mill missile turrets, as Dana now trying to move forward. Will spot the missile turret. They're going to go straight after the missile turret. Simply, easily to take down, and now backs off again. Mutalisk count up to 13. With more Mutalisks, now up to 16, only 13 I believe in this group. Yeah, only 13 in this group here, as more and more are still being added. You can see the Zerg player is right now just trying to place a lot of pressure down. He knows that he doesn't need to do too much with these very, very expensive Mutalisks. He can just force his opponent to be on his heels a bit, playing a little bit defensive, and then the Mutalisks can just try to flank from one side to another or catch units as they are in transit. And by doing so, he can force the Terran player to sit on 2 bases. You can see a 2-base advantage eventually for the Zerg, as this base here will be up and operational momentarily. We are also going into Hive Tech as the Mutalisk ball now up to 20. Alright, these Mutalisks, the MVP of the show. Is it going to be enough though, as we are seeing 2-2 upgrades now being completed? There are Marines here, and those Mutalisks decide to back off. Doesn't want to fly into a group of Marines with 1-1 upgrades. Ever so devastating, as the Mutalisks are currently only 1-0. Alright, Medivacs being forced to pull away. Marines once again stimming in order to try and catch up to those Mutalisks. Mutalisks are still flying around, and wow, what are they doing? Catching a lot of the Marines off guard. Zerglings on the ground. Mutalisks to take care of the Medivacs, and that is going to be painful once more, as Banelings now rolling through. Zergling, Bling Mutaling once more coming back into favor. You can see the Mutalisks controlling the skies, the Banelings and the Zerglings controlling the ground. Those Marines not going to be able to do very much, especially as there is absolutely no Thors. No Thors to even force these Mutalisks to go into some sort of magic box, and at least force the Zerg player to be a little bit more careful when he tries to move out. It is going to be 3 bases to 4 again. This is still very, very strong for Zerg. Zerg has superior upgrades. Also going into an Ultralisk cavern, and those Ultralisks are going to just simply roll over everything here in just a moment, as we are getting 1-1, or soon to be 2-1 upgrades on those Marines. And units are 2-2 upgrades on the Marines, 2-1 upgrades on all the melee units here. As here we go, Zerglings now trying to make their way in. How much damage is going to be dealt, as the Banelings are simply just going to run in, crash through? Oh, this could be very devastating. Banelings taking down siege tanks. However, the Banelings not able to find all of those Marine targets there, as the Mutalisks are now chasing away that Orbital Command. Orbital Command has been taken down. And once again, Terran having a bit of problem trying to keep up with this fast-moving Zerg on such a large map. Zerg now coming back down once again. Only 3 drones here. This place is more for gas than anything else, as we could be seeing, yes, the Kitness plating is now being researched. Those Ultralisks are going to have an additional +2 armor in just a moment, being very devastating, as Terran going for one last final push, but there is no creep here, so those Zerglings are not going to be able to do or catch up all that much. Mutalisks going after the siege tanks, Banelings trying to find the Marines, and it looks like all of the siege tanks have been taken down, and a new round of Ultralisks now going to be coming in. 2-2 upgrades. Infestors now being trained. Is it going to be enough? And the problem is going to be the sheer size of the map. Terran having a problem trying to even reach out and touch his opponent at this point. His opponent is simply too far away, as the Mutalisks catching some of those slower moving Medivacs in the backfield. Mutalisks now looking to move back again. Marines still pushing down here, and it's really been the game of air. All of these Mutalisks catching so many of these Marines, Medivacs, and small units off guard, as we still see Zerglings once again forcing another cancellation on a command center. Alright, I'm still waiting for the rest of the units. In comes the Ultralisks. Ultralisks just want to reach out and hug a Marine. Marines are allergic to Ultralisk hugs, or the Kaiser Blades, not quite sure the difference. And the Ultralisks are now starting to roll on in. Ultralisks do have 4 armor, and soon to be 5 armor, as those Ultralisks are not going to melt away. There's a beautiful fungal growth. And this game is going to be coming to an end. I don't believe anything's going to be stopping the Zerg engine at this point. Over a 90 supply advantage for the Zerg. Zerg also has the larger bank. Even if you destroy every unit you see on the field, Zerg will be able to replenish back up to maximum supply, and there is the GG. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1.